The debate over the value of illegal immigrant workers is escalating. Who benefits most from the work provided by illegal immigrants? And which U.S. workers lose out as a result of the added competition for those low-wage jobs? Reporter Alison St. spoke to experts on both sides of the immigration debate about the true costs and benefits of illegal immigration.
An estimated 200,000 illegal immigrants work in San Diego County. They bring costs and benefits. UCSD economics professor Gordon Hanson says the problem is those costs and benefits are not evenly distributed.
Now, those benefits go primarily to one group of individuals, and that's employers in industries that hire illegal immigrants intensively: construction, agriculture, hospitality, tourism.
Agriculture is a $5 billion a year industry in San Diego.
We're in the San Pasqual Valley.
Eric Larson is with the Farm Bureau. He says 5,000 family-owned farms in the county would not survive without migrant labor.
So we grow these specialty crops that take a tremendous amount of labor to hand plant, hand care, and hand harvest. If we don't have an abundant workforce of laborers, then we can't have these crops, and those farms will just go away.
Larson says San Diegans benefit from fresh, locally grown produce and open space that might otherwise turn into housing developments.
So without it, the avocado trees that just blanket the hills of Fallbrook, Valley Center, the oranges here in San Pasqual Valley, the nurseries of San Marcos, Vista, Carlsbad, the flower fields, it goes on and on. Without farm workers, those all go away.
Construction and tourism also benefit from the pool of illegal immigrant labor. Their lower labor costs boost profits and cut prices for consumers. So who are the losers?
Among the losers, what we have are workers who compete with illegal immigrants for jobs, and that's a minority of workers in San Diego County. The workers who face the most competition from illegal immigrants would be U.S. workers who haven't completed high school. And so those workers are less than 10% of the total labor force.
San Diego Congressman Brian Bilbray says that's a problem. He says the losers are at the bottom of the economic heap and don't have much political clout.
If illegals were coming to this country taking the professor's job and the lawyer's job, there'd be a lot more outcry in Washington and Sacramento about doing something about it.
But Bilbray says taxpayers are the biggest losers because they're footing the bill for health and education services for illegal immigrants.
The fact is you got a few who are making the money off of this, and they're expecting the general population to carry this, and that needs to be brought up, that the fact is you've got to stop that. The trouble is the very wealthy and very powerful are the ones who are making the most out of this, that are getting the most profit out of this.
The wealthy also use immigrant labor to maintain their mansions and manicure their estates. Hanson says they're winners because the cost savings of using immigrant labor more than balances the taxes they pay that cover health and education for immigrant families.
Compare that wealthy family with an upper middle class family. That being upper middle class puts you in a higher income tax bracket, but your income doesn't make it possible for you to pay for all the home care, child care, yard care services that wealthy family is getting. Well, for that family, they might be net losers.
In fact, some illegal immigrants pay taxes too.
So the Congress and
this man, who did not want us to use his name, has lived and worked in San Diego for 20 years.
This is the actual document that the IRS sent me, and through this number, I've been doing my tax reports every year since 1993.
The federal government assigns workers an official number called an individual taxpayer identification number, so employers can deduct taxes from their wages.
And I'm more than willing to prove that I've been paying taxes like everybody else.
But he will never see any earned income tax credits or Social Security because he is not a U.S. citizen.
Those payroll taxes go to the federal government, which keeps it. And you're talking about a sum that's on the order of $40 to $50 billion a year.
No matter how long I've been here, no matter how much taxes I've been paying, there is no law that says, okay, you could be legal.
People of all political stripes may agree the current system unfairly creates winners and losers, but they disagree on how to fix it.
There's a built-in inequity in the system. We've got to do a better job of spreading the benefits from immigration around than we do currently.
And if you're legally here, you have rights and you'll have a better life. And if you're here illegally, you're going to need to go home.
So the community is going to have to make a choice. And it's really a community choice. It's not the farmer's choice and it's not the farm worker's choice. Does the community want this agriculture here? And does the community want to embrace immigrant workers to come here and do the work?
We have people that are against us, and I don't blame them. You know, they have their own point of view. They see things on their own way, and I respect them. And all I ask is, like, respect my own point of view, and the people that handles the law, all I ask them is just to be fair.
Until there's a better understanding of who's getting the benefits of illegal immigrant labor and who's paying the costs, it will be difficult to get enough support to craft solutions.